It was a dark and stormy night. The wind howled outside, sending shivers down my spine. I sat in my room, anxiously waiting for my friends to arrive for our sleepover. We had been planning this for weeks, and I was excited to spend the night with my closest friends. However, as the night wore on, I couldn't shake off the feeling that something was off. As the clock struck 10, my friends, Lily, Claire, and Emma arrived. We exchanged excited greetings and began our sleepover. We spent the evening watching scary movies, playing board games, and eating snacks. As the night progressed, we decided to play a game of truth or dare to spice things up. It was Lily's turn, and she dared me to go into a creepy attic alone. I hesitated at first, but didn't want to seem like a chicken in front of my friends, so I accepted the challenge. I made my way up the creaky stairs and opened the attic door. The musty smell and the dim lighting sent chills down my spine. I felt a sense of unease wash over me, but I pushed it aside and continued exploring. As I rummaged through the old boxes and furniture, I heard a faint whisper. It sounded like someone calling my name. I froze, my heart racing. I called out to my friends, but there was no response. I chucked it up to my imagination and tried to brush it off. However, as I made my way back downstairs, I couldn't shake off the feeling that someone or something was watching me. I didn't mention it to my friends, and the night went on as usual. We eventually settled into our sleeping bags for the night, and as I lay in my sleeping bag, I couldn't help but feel like I wasn't alone. I could hear the wind picking up outside and the branches scratching against the window. But as I was about to drift to sleep, I heard footsteps coming from the hallway. I brushed it off, thinking it was just one of my friends going to the bathroom. However, the footsteps didn't stop. They continued to get closer and closer to my room. I heard the doorknob turn and my heart skipped a beat. The door slowly creaked open, revealing a black figure standing in the doorway. I let out a blood-curdling scream, waking my friends. They turned on the lights and saw me shaking in fear. I told them what happened, but they couldn't find anyone in the hallway or in the house. They reassured me that it was just my imagination, and I was just being paranoid. However, I couldn't shake off the feeling that someone or something was watching me. The rest of the night was filled with uneasy silence, and none of us could get back to sleep. The next morning, we all brushed off the incident as a scary dream and went on with our day. However, things only got stranger from here. A few days later, Lily's parents called my mom and said that Lily refused to sleep in her room. She claimed that she saw a figure in her room every night and she was too scared to sleep alone. My mother brushed it off as the child's imagination, but I couldn't shake off the feeling that there was something more to it. As the days went by, more strange things started happening. The objects would move on their own, doors would open and close themselves, and we could hear whispering voices in the house. We were all too scared to sleep alone, and my parents eventually had to call a priest to bless the house. The priest performed a blessing, and we all thought that the nightmare was finally over. However, that night, as we were getting ready to go to sleep, we heard a loud crash coming from the kitchen. We cautiously made our way to downstairs and found the furniture and objects scattered all over the room. We noticed a message written on the wall with red paint. "I'm not leaving." We all screamed and ran to my parents' room, where they're already awake, trying to figure out what was happening. They called the police and they searched the house, but they found no one. We all decided to stay at the hotel for the rest of the night and return the next day to find the house completely ransacked. My parents decided it was best for us to move out of the house and find a new place to live. As we were packing our belongings, I found an old photo album hidden in the attic. As I slipped through the pages, I found a photo of a family who used to live in the house. In the photo, there was a young girl who looked exactly like a figure I saw in the doorway that night. I showed the photo to my parents, and they eventually found out that the young girl in the photo had died in the house many years ago. They never found out how she died, but the rumors say that she was killed by her own family. Her ghost was said to haunt the house, and she didn't want anyone living there. We moved out of the house and never spoke of it again. My friends and I never had another sleepover, and all drifted apart. To this day, I still have nightmares about that night.